ALEPH is an artist who I've recently discovered, and by God, is the best discovery I think I've made in quite some time. They dabble in dubstep, electronic dance music, although that's not really a very good way to describe it. I don't think there's much dance going on here, but the EDM tropes, and particularly dubstep tropes, certainly come through in quite a strong way, while also combining their sound and influences together to create a really interesting listening experience. I feel as though this album at points is incredibly chaotic, it's incredibly intense, while also being beautiful at times as well. The opening track, REM, certainly reminds me of like a John Hopkins Insides kind of thing. If you've heard John Hopkins's 2009 album, which you certainly should, because I think it's actually his best album so far. Not many people seem to agree with that. People tend to say Immunity, but I personally think it is Insides, and REM certainly gives me that kind of vibe. The track Polymer, which REM nicely, swiftly transitions into, is this buzzy synth nightmare. Honestly, it feels like the whole song is just crashing together and all the instrumental aspects are kind of coming together, charging into one another. It's almost as if like some kind of spaceship or something is just flying through the Earth's atmosphere, just crashing into anywhere that it can land, because there is just no control to whatever it is that's flying through. And then Breathe is a track that has this mesmerizing melody. It's absolutely stunning and weirdly psychedelic, honestly. It just kind of makes you feel like you're being sucked into the world of what ALEPH is trying to do. And it's almost like it slows things down to a halt, as if the spaceship or whatever that was crashing through has just ended up landing safely. It's almost as if the calmness immediately just takes over you in a really cool way, and I like the way that it just didn't really do anything similar to what Polymer did, but they come close together and it really works. Noise Floor is absolutely breathtaking as well. I think the combination of Wonky and dubstep here is just absolutely fantastic. I just admire this fusion of ideas that I think just creates this really crunchy sound. And again, not really replicated in many other places. You don't usually see these two worlds coming together, even though there's nothing, wildly different from the genres of Wonky and dubstep, but yet you don't really seem to see them get fused like this. And yet, listening to it, it works so well. The track 7, which is a weird title that I can't possibly fathom, honestly, but maybe someone else out there can. It packs in so much fire and energy in such a short amount of time. It's impressive, really. It's such a bursting song that it kind of just, again, charges through. And it's only like 2 minutes. Essence Recall has this super snappy beat, which, once again, transforms into Recovery in a way that I don't feel like is very recognizable, because Recovery is absolutely stunning. This track is beautiful. Once again, just showing these different sides to ALEPH, and just makes this album basically what you're seeing on the album cover, this explosion, this weird eruption of ideas that just kind of go darting around, and every emotion and feeling you can think of is just kind of like being zapped into you, zapped out of you even, and just a collision of so many different ideas. It's so cool. Retrospect has this jaunty off-kilter beat, which honestly, MF Doom in his prime, I feel like could have rapped over this. The way that beat comes through, it's so off-kilter and weird and quirky, but yeah, it just has so much character to it. The song Ego Death is this complete mammoth of a track, easily the longest, hitting 9 minutes here. Once again, just takes you through different channels, different galaxies even, lots of different feelings that come through in the music here, lots of different voice snippets as well. Not entirely sure what they're saying, it's hard to make out what exactly is going on in those, but there's probably a lot to take away here in a similar way that you'd get from like a Godspeed track with all the different voice snippets that come through in Godspeed's music. I definitely think they're intentional and they have something tying to the theme, but I just haven't quite figured that out yet. I think I'm just so taken back by the music that all these little moments like that pop up in this song and a few other tracks too just don't really capture my attention in the same way as these fantastic instrumentals. It has a transcendental ending with endless, absolutely beautiful way to close things out. I just love that this album has so many different adjectives that could be attached to it. I've said words like transcendental, beautiful, stunning, and yet I've also said words like jaunty, off-kilter, buzzy, snappy, just all these different words that just describe so many different tracks, and yeah, it all just fits onto one album perfectly. It's so good, it's great, one of the best albums I've heard all year, one of the best albums I've heard this month, and is probably going to go overlooked, which truly saddens me. But for me, I've got to go 8.5 out of 10. Definitely check this out. If you're an electronic music fan, this is going to be one of the highlights that you will lay your ears on this year, without a doubt, and I hope you check it out based on my really glowing review and high recommendation. So thank you for watching as always. Hopefully you've hit the subscribe button as well. Subscribe, please. Have a good day. Subscribe, and goodbye.